And I decided then that I hate sports and I'll never be a good athlete. And I filed that away in my future so I wouldn't forget about it. Now fast forward, and it's 12 years old, and I'm in PE class, and the teacher has decided that all the boys are going to play softball, and we're going to pick teams first. So 2 of the boys become captains, and the rest of us line up to be picked. Kind of know how this is going, right? And the first guy, he picks like the really tall kid. You know, there's always one in the class that's extra big than everybody else. They're like, either they had a growth spurt early or they got held back a year. They're extra big, right? So they get picked. And then there's always the kid in every class, you know, that you give them a mitt or a bat or a racket or a ball, and they're like the all-star athlete. So he gets picked right away. More and more of the kids get picked. Eventually there's just 3 or 4 of us, like the motley crew left. And I'm looking down at my feet and thinking, oh, just pick me, say my name, end my agony so I can go over to the other side and be on one of those teams. I'm so embarrassed. Just take me out of my misery. You know, call my name. Eventually, I hear my name, great. Go over, all the other kids get picked, we begin to play softball. But what do I decide in that moment? I decided that I don't want to be at the mercy of anyone for my happiness. I never want to have to need anyone else to do something or say something in order for me to be happy. And I take that decision and I file it away in my future so I won't forget about it. Now, last example. On first day of 10th grade in high school. It's a brand new school. Don't know anybody there. Just moved to the area. And I'm in PE class. And I'm sitting next to a kid named Kevin. And Kevin's clear that he doesn't like sports and he'll never be a good athlete either, so he's trying to figure out how to get out of PE class. So we make fast friends. We have a lot in common right away. So we start talking and it turns out, oh, well, we've got like 3 or 4 classes together. So we really become friends. And I'm really happy because a lot of times in my childhood, I didn't stay in one place for a long time. With my family, we moved a lot, so I never really had that best friend. You know, that BFF, is it? Yeah. I never really had one of those, so I was really, really excited. And it turns out he's a really cool kid because his family is wealthy and he's a trust fund baby. And so he's been to a lot of countries around the world, and he's traveled to London and Paris and backpacked through Europe. And so in high school English class, you know, we'll sit there and we'll daydream about after we graduate and how we're going to, you know, go back to all those places and backpack through Europe and have a great time. And by the end of the sophomore year of high school, he's like my best friend and we're hanging out all the time, but it's the end of the school year. And I'm going to go to my grandma's house for a month and spend it with her. So I say bye to Kevin, see you later on. Well, 2 weeks into my stay with my grandmother, I get a letter from Kevin. You know, and this is like 82, so there's no email, so it was actually a written letter I got in the mail. And it said in the letter that everything that he told me about himself and his life was a complete lie. He had made it all up because he was worried that if I knew the truth, I wouldn't be his friend. Turns out that he lives in a 2-bedroom apartment in a not-so-good part of Santa Monica, California. He's got a brother. He doesn't know who his father is. His mom doesn't even know who his father is. He's never even been outside the state of California, let alone London and Paris and Australia. So what do I decide? People lie. You can't trust them. And I take that decision and I file it away in my future so I won't forget about it. So I want to suggest that what's stopping you from taking those risks is that the past is out there in your future, determining your actions in the present. So to really have the freedom and ability to take risks in areas of life where you've been stopped or have resisted, you have to put the past back in the past where it belongs. So if you do that, what do you then have in your future? Nothing. You have like a wide open space where you can create anything. You can start with taking those risks in areas of life that are important to you, stepping out beyond where you're comfortable, and you can invent yourself to be anyone you want to be. Now, it's easy to say, put the past back in the past. How do you actually do that? It begins by recognizing that your past and the decisions you made in those moments are still running the show. That, like for me, an upset 6-year-old is still in charge in the area of sports and athletics at some point, right? Determining my actions and way of being. It involves really getting complete with what happened in your past, in particular areas of your life, and getting that those events that happened, they are not you. And the stories you made up about what happened are not true. This is the kind of work that I did in the Landmark Forum when I was 20, and it totally altered my perception of myself, my world, my past, and most importantly, what I saw was possible for my future. It's what had me go to work overseas, start those companies, and design a life of my own creation. So as you leave here today, I invite you to look at those areas of your life where you are stopped from taking risks that if you took them, would have you fulfill on what's important to you. And ask yourself this question. If you were free from the past in that area, what could you create? What actions would you take? Who would you get to be in that area that you never get to be? So thank you for your time, your attention, your generosity in listening and participating. Thank you for those that I forced to speak by calling on you. I really appreciated being with you today. I was committed that you get something of value that you could take away with, something to give you some food for thought in your life. I hope it was worthwhile, and have a great morning.